Hello, everyone. You will now hear a brief retelling of the movie 247 Degrees Fahrenheit. The movie is based on true events. 3 years ago, Jenna and her fiancé were in a car accident and he died. Today, she and her friend Renee and 2 other guys went on vacation to a cabin by the lake. On May 1st, the locals are celebrating some kind of holiday. But the boys conclude that this is just an excuse to get drunk. Jan likes Jan. He finds her interesting. His uncle Wade provides the youth with a lake house for the holiday. Jana takes pictures of everything and flirts with the blonde man, and afterwards meets Bo the dog. Wade offers to clink a shot of mead for introductions. The girl declines, and Michael takes her portion for himself. The bags are already stacked in the house. Jenna wanted to take her pills, but changes her mind. Renee meets Michael, and they immediately go exploring the bedroom. To avoid hearing their moaning and fumbling, Jan turned up the music louder. Jana didn't get hopped up on pills, so she can now afford a beer. In the evening, all 5 of them eat dinner at the same table. It turns out that Jan is all-spirited just like Jenna and dreams of becoming a writer. Michael, on the other hand, keeps pumping moonshine. Afterwards, he gets a joint, too. Wade reminds the girls about the party. It's important not to forget the invitation. Otherwise they won't be allowed in. Michael is already pretty drunk and suggests that his friends take a steam bath in the sauna. Jenna is somewhat embarrassed by this suggestion, but still goes upstairs to change. Michael, sipping a beer, is already sweating in the sauna. Jan joins him to check out how hot it is. Jana is still wearing the engagement ring given by her dead fiancé. But she's taking it off now. Third into the steam room came Renee. Everyone's waiting for Jenna. The shy one, writhing outside, grabs 2 bottles of water. But Jan manages to get her inside. She immediately appreciates the hot atmosphere. And just as she sat down, she wanted to immediately go out and get more water. But she was stopped. Wade had made a European-inspired addition to the house himself. The temperature had already risen to 85 degrees Celsius. Jan decided he needed to add steam and poured water over the heated stones. 2 more minutes passed, and then they decided they had had enough. It was time to dive into the lake. Sweating, they jumped into the cold water and splash around in the darkness. Now they need to warm up. And our heroes come to the sauna again. The girls are already steaming while the guys decide to have another shot of mead. It doesn't go so well, but that doesn't stop Michael. When Ian went into the sauna, he immediately poured himself another shot. The young people, after sitting in the steam room for a while longer, bathe in the lake again. Afterwards they are going to take one last steam bath, but this time with essential oils. Drunk as a skunk, Michael tries to get Renee into bed one more time, but she is disgusted with him. She wants to stay. Michael, on the other hand, is excused to go to the bathroom. Renee complains that her boyfriend is turning into a drunk. Michael flips something, Renee freaks out and gets ready to leave. But the door won't open. There's no lock on it. What's the matter? Gina immediately starts screaming that she doesn't want to be here for a second. She's having a scare with the accident when she was trapped in the overturned car. Jan thought he might kick the thick door open, but the wood was stronger than he was. Renee shoved him off and tried to yell at Michael. Maybe he just shut them for fun. He's a fan of such speculative shenanigans. They quickly gasped and decided to calm down so as not to overload their hearts. Renee got a headache, most likely from dehydration. Jenna hoped Wade would come back and let them out. But we can't expect him back anytime soon. He thinks they're at a party. Through the window they manage to see that there is something blocking the door. The friends discuss that there is enough air for them. Their main enemy is temperature. Renee is unaware of what heat stroke is and demands an explanation. Jan tells her that the symptoms are dizziness, headache, vomiting and loss of cognition. The entire control system is on the outside. Only the thermometer is inside. True, they found a thermostat behind it. The device tells the heater when it needs to turn off and on. So it is not worth touching it. Renee tries to break the window. First with a scoop, then with a bucket. For the same purpose, Jan wants to get a stone from the stove to the loft, but it breaks. A little more fiddling and the stone is removed. It is judged with drinking water. Her leftovers are almost completely finished. Renee wails for Jan to start breaking the window already faster. But he only tears his palms bloody. The glass is too hard, but he finally succeeds. The girls leaned against the opening to get some fresh air and finally call out to Michael. But to no avail. He was nowhere to be found. And the door was indeed propped up by a small ladder. It probably just fell down accidentally. Renee is wiping herself with water. Jan advises her not to. That way her body will think it doesn't need to produce sweat, and her body will stop cooling down. The hole makes it a little cooler. But soon it will start heating up to raise the temperature again. Obliging the stone with a towel, Jan tries to pry up the ladder, but to no avail. Renee wants to do something to the thermostat to stop the heating. But Jan asks him not to touch it. They don't know what the consequences of damaging it will be. At worst, the room will heat up to 125 degrees Celsius. Jana also asks not to force the issue. Maybe it won't be long before Wade returns, or Michael wakes up if he's passed out somewhere. Noticing the light bulbs, Jan comes up with the idea of short-circuiting the heater and turning it off that way. Jan unscrews the light bulb. He wraps a towel around it and shoves it into the base. The electrician is immediately electrocuted and convulses on the floor and the light goes out. We are shown Wade and his partner fiddling with shovels and something covered with a tarp. The youngsters are now suffering in the dark. Renee and Jenna are agonizing, pacing back and forth, and Ian is lying there coughing. The girls reminisce about the past and how they have changed over the years. At one point Jan whispers at them. He heard the dog barking as Bo. Bo also heard them and barked louder. People are calling his name. And Jan's mouth was bleeding. The only pity is that the dog not only can't move the stairs, he can't even get into the house. At the same moment, we see that under the tarpaulin was hidden Firecracker, not Michael, as we had been hinted at before. But the drunkard himself comes up to the house and asks Bo what he's so pissed off about. But he didn't hear his friends screaming. The pyrotechnics rattled all around, and the guy went off on his own. Bo runs up to the owner and in doggy tells him what happened. But for some reason he doesn't understand him. Bo hops into the pickup and hints that it's time to go home. The man agrees with him. He's almost there. But then Michael comes out on the road. The dopey man decides that his friends have left for a party, leaving him alone in the house. He remembers waking up from the barking, getting drunk on beer, packing his bags, and going to the party. But he didn't have his invitation with him, and security wouldn't let him in. Waite suggested that the two of them have fun together at his house. They chalked the dog's anxiety up to fireworks. Meanwhile, the friends ran out of water and were thirsty. They found some liquid in a bucket. Renee became agitated and was about to break the thermostat. But suddenly she gets hit over the head by a rock from her friend and passes out. At least she's still breathing. Jenna snivels and Ian asks for her help to carry the knocked-out girl away from the heater. Michael and Wade smoke a joint and the owner wonders how the sauna is doing. But the guy has already forgotten he was there today. Jenna gets cocky and blames what happened on Ian. She says he intimidated her into thinking that she would die because of the thermostat. Then she gets the roof blown off and smashes it to pieces herself. The furnace immediately went on full blast, and all Ian had to do was laugh. After he was done, Michael decided it was time for him to go home. Jan makes one hell of a face and yells. He pounces on a pile of red-hot rocks, beats them and tries to fence them off. The guy does move the structure and the gas equipment immediately explodes. The wave kicks the door open with Jana. The girl sees that Jan looks like a charred piece of meat. She immediately runs to the refrigerator and drinks water, then sits on the bed grabbing pills. She hears Renee's voice. The girl comes to her senses. In fact, she is still in a stuffy trap. Jan is still a cutlet, and the room is now filled with gas. To keep Renee from being poisoned, she tries to bring her friend up to the window. But to no avail. Michael returns home and immediately reaches for another bottle of beer. The girls cough all the time. Gina tied up 2 towels and threw them on a beam. This is how she wants to hang Renee by the window. But there isn't much strength to lift her up. Renee pulls herself together and somehow pulls herself up. Michael is hurt that his friends have abandoned him. So he decided to indulge himself with a joint. And Jenna figured out how to save herself and her friend. She started shoveling out all the rocks to get to the gas pipe. Once she did, she plugged the pipe with a piece of scoop, but immediately passed out, as did Renee. As he slept, Michael remembered how the drunk had stumbled over the ladder and then threw it on the offending right on the door, thus blocking it. And so our company was trapped in a death trap. Finally, Wake came home and saw his guest strung up. Later, he gives a statement to the cops. And Michael the jerk laughs on the sidelines. Both girls are taken away by ambulance.